Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Restaurant News Networking Group. Today at our 9 o'clock meeting, we have a visitor from our 11 o'clock group. Debbie is here to give us a presentation on what we're trying to do to be more inclusive in the group to new members and to restaurant owners, managers, and chefs. Debbie, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you. Okay, let's get my screen shared. Here we go. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So as Howard said, we had talked a lot in the 11 o'clock meeting about things that we can do to make ourselves attractive to the industry, especially to restaurant owners, and to attract all of our expertise out there. I do believe that this is a group of experts. I believe there's so much talent in here, and I want to be able to help us leverage all of our skill sets and get our word out there and really help restaurants and make a difference in the industry. And of course, most importantly, to make it profitable for everybody. So just a little bit about who I am. I call myself a dream pollinator for a reason, because I believe that dreams are very important. I believe you should be living your full life to your potential and finding your true self. I've worked in operations for over 28 years. I started as an account executive. I worked my way all the way up to a COO level. I've run very successful leadership programs for all levels, for upper management, customer service, trade levels. I've promoted over 550 employees, and that's within a 7-year span. I've also done culture changes for groups. In LabCorp, we were fighting a union. I changed the entire culture to get everybody involved. I fought the union and I won. So what I do now is to take all those skills and be able to use that at a different level. I've opened up restaurants. I've helped people in the restaurant industry kind of reinvent themselves. I've done a lot of customer service training. I've also held other positions in restaurants of management, back-end management, working with industry's best practices, changing brand and value. So I believe in this group. I believe that we have so much potential. And I think this is just the same of, let's put all our expertise together. Let's be the best version of ourselves, and let's get ourselves out there in the industry. So what I want to talk about is why we are the experts, how we can attract restaurant owners to come and join the TRN and learn what we are about and our expertise. Questions that we want restaurant owners to be asking, and we want restaurant owners to be coming to us for answers. Some social media initiatives that we can all do to help grow this group as well as help each other, and what we need to do to help support each other. Well, I don't think we really need to do a breakout with this group because it seems small enough that we could just do it all together, and then we'll close it all up. So this is just very minimal stats. This is just sort of pulling out from what we already know. Within us, we have over 50 years experience. Yes, we could add a number together and make it sound really high, but then you don't want to sound a little ridiculous with some stats. Right off the bat, in the 11 o'clock group, there's a few people that will say, right, I can save you a minimum of at least 30%. So that to me is a minimum number that sounds really safe and easy to be putting out there to the industry. We also can help a restaurant survival rate. Again, I put a minimum of 20% out there because I don't have real solid facts, because I don't have every single person's stats on there. But I do personally believe that if we go and present ourselves to restaurants, we're not forcing ourselves down their throat. We're just talking about what we can offer. I know that we can dig in deeper into a lot of these stats, but for now, just for the presentation, I think that that's pretty strong. So we're saying we can help you survive, and that's just walking in the door, and that's a 20%. We're saying we could save you money, that's 30%. Now, again, I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. This is not about shoving our businesses down people's throat. We're just talking numbers because that catches attention to people. And we want to be able to talk about what we can do and not sell people of like, hey, look at me, you need to have my service right now. We want to talk as experts, and we want to talk as why we're the industry leaders. And that is an attraction to people, getting their attention, giving them small details, because restaurant owners don't have a lot of time to sit in a live meeting, and especially to sit for an hour long of watching podcasts or watching videos. We want to be able to give them little quick hits of stats and some answers that is attractive, and they want to keep listening. And we want it to be at their leisure time. So this is just sort of general categories. I know that there's a few other specialties in there, but I just sort of wanted to group things together. So there's offerings of people that can do startup expansions, buying and selling. There's people that are builders, and it can also help rebuild inside the restaurant, and obviously the concrete brick and mortar. There's people that have back-end HR services. So that could be staffing, payroll. There's legal. I know that there's insurance in here as well. There's people that have manufactured products. There's also cost-saving products out there in our group. There's all different kinds of financial services offerings. There's people that are doing food distributions. And as we have in this group, restaurant brokers. There's specialty items. We could create craft beers. We have people that have specialty coffees and beverages. I know there's somebody else that does specialty international foods. I'm sure I'm missing somebody in there as well. There's marketing people that can help do digital ads, print ads, that's Howard, get videos out there. Also customer service initiatives, that's something that I do. There's also systems that we can do. There's credit card systems, there's POS systems, and there's phone systems. So if we look at this, we do have a huge spectrum of what we can go and offer a restaurant. And we want to also look at cycles of restaurants. So this could be extremely attractive for somebody going to open a restaurant, but at the same time, it can also be overwhelming. So we want to be able to propose questions out there, make people comfortable that they know what we're doing. They know that we are the experts, and it feels comfortable to them to come to us and have all the answers. And we don't all, not every single person is here looking to attract specifically that part of the restaurant cycle. We have people that are interested in attracting people that are in the middle of their cycle or at the end of their cycle. So for instance, if someone's looking to sell their business, we want them to be able to come here, and we have experts that can help them sell their business. We also have experts that can help them market selling their business and maybe even save their business. So we want to look at every piece of the restaurant cycle and what it means to us, because we want to be able to use what's important to you and your expertise and categorize that. So when we're looking at putting together these questions to put out, to propose to the restaurant industry and to restaurant owners, we want it to catch their eye of where they are within this restaurant cycle. So what are some of the goals for the group? Well, the goal that was brought to us to bring us all together is to leverage each other as business contacts and offer each other our services to our clients. We come every week, we get to know each other a little bit better. We have people give presentations of exactly what they do, and that helps us to get an understanding and a trust. What I personally love about this group is that it is starting to become a family. I mean, for me, I feel like our group is a family. I'm sure you guys are a family as well. And we also are finding synergies to work together. We're helping each other. I think we can do more. I think that this is great. I love that every group is specialized. There's not duplicates. And we do get a lot of questions answered. So we want to be able to, again, attract restaurants at all stages of their cycle, not shove down our products and services down their throat, but to show them that we're experts, that they just want to come to us and use our services. Again, restaurant owners have limited time, so we want to be able to utilize the social media avenues that we have. Howard has a very strong mailing list out there, utilizing the YouTube videos to get it out there, as well as using other social platforms. A lot of people in the 11 o'clock group are strong on LinkedIn. We're using some of those avenues, and I'll talk about that in a little while. We want to create a name for the TRN as in the marketplace as being the restaurant experts. Now, we could change the name of what that looks like, but just I think for the main point is restaurant experts. We want to have that said. Today's restaurant news is the restaurant experts. We want to ingrain that in people's head. And when they talk about a restaurant, someone says, I want to open a restaurant, I want to sell my restaurant, I need help with my restaurant. Oh my gosh, I know this group in Florida, today's restaurant news, they are the restaurant experts. So getting those words out, making sure we're all speaking the same language, that's all part of proposing ourselves and putting it out there. So, that was a duplicate slide, sorry. So again, why we're the experts? We have over 50 years experience in the industry. Although we're in the Southeast of the United States, the majority of us have services that can be offered across the United States. I understand that not everybody can, but the majority of the group does have services that can offer. So that's okay. Together, I really believe that this group is strong, and I know together we can be stronger. I personally think that this is a perfect place where we can offer what I call restaurant in a box, where somebody wants to buy a restaurant, sell a restaurant, need help in the middle. There's restaurant in a box. I have a group for you that can solve all your problems. And if they can't, they know somebody that can. Make this a one-stop shop where we're an exclusive group. People want to be a part of it. They want to learn from us. And I know that we have all the expertise because we have so much industry experience that I know that the more we do this and the more we put ourselves out there with proper planning, we can get that recognition in the marketplace. We can offer advice. We plan ahead of how we want that to look. And this is part of what we're doing today. Again, solutions of restaurant cycles, challenges, planning, and trends are things we want to focus on. Offering our solutions as a collective group and being direct on what we want our positioning to look like and what our message should look like. And again, if we put all our expertise together, we are starting an industry trend by being the experts and people looking to us as to what we think should happen in a trend and what our direction feels and looks like. So how? So what we're going to do is we're going to aim towards the goal of having people know that we are the restaurant experts. And what we had talked about was Howard has a huge list of restaurant owners, people within the industry, people interested in the industry. Why aren't we asking them what they want to hear? And we could send out a survey that could be ridiculously long of generalized questions, and we're going to lose the audience. We already know a lot of the problems that they're having. We don't know every single one, but we know a lot of it. And we want to focus on what are the main things that are hitting the industry today, and what are some things that we know we can fix, we can answer, and put out those short surveys. We want to do at least like very minimal, like 5 to 6 questions, because you're not going to really get a lot of time out of a restaurant owner, and make it be multiple choice so that they don't have time to jog around and look for an answer and be like, oh, forget it, I'll get to it later. Multiple choice. They may not have it may not be the exact answer, but the multiple choice is, this is how we within this group can help fix this problem for you. We take these answers, we take out of the survey questions, and we start we work on our group meeting. I think we should do it as a combined meeting. We could still talk about what that looks like. And we take 15 minutes to address each question. We already discuss ahead of time of how that's going to answer these problems, who should speak. And we do a meeting just like this, a Zoom meeting. We start and stop each question. We don't give it more than 15 minutes. If it needs to be edited, hopefully it doesn't. The less back end work that has to be done, the better. Nobody has to worry about doing crazy videos and all these other kind of stuff. We can talk about that stuff later. We're going to build into these things. But we want to be able to put questions out that are going to get the restaurant industry's attention. Now, I understand that some people are going to say, well, what I offer is not going to be in these initial questions. I get it. Mine are probably not going to either. But if we're gaining their attention and we make it consistent of what we're asking and what we're offering, if we're delivering these items to them, they're going to get consistency of like, well, I want to know what the restaurant experts are talking about today. And they're going to keep looking, and we're going to hit everybody's business. We want to make sure that everybody's business is being showcased just as evenly as everybody else. Obviously, the industry has some significant issues right now, such as distribution, staffing issues. Those are just two off the top of my head. But we want to make sure that everybody's covered and everybody is included, and it's not focused on just certain people in the group. So we want everybody to be involved. And even though you think you may not have an involvement, I'm pretty positive that you have an answer and have a contribution to one of these questions. I do believe that everybody is an expert, and that's why we're here. And I want to make sure that everybody is a part of this collectively and not just focusing on 2 or 3 people within each group. So like I said, we expected this group to be bigger, so we were going to break out into groups to talk about questions, but I think this is small enough that we can do this as a collective group. Do you agree with that, Howard?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what we want to do is, again, we're going to do this survey. It's going to give us a blueprint on what areas we want to focus on and what questions are out there with specific answers, like short answers, but we're going to go in more depth when we do these video questions and then put them out there on YouTube. We all, once again, we're all going to have a chance to speak. Each question will be recorded for 15 minutes, and then it'll be replayed and sent out there as the question. So when the video is posted, it'll be the question, and then the video is us discussing what answers are out there. Not every question is going to have just one solution. So if there is more than one solution, we want to make sure that we are covering all of those solutions. Well, we could talk about this afterwards, but the more that we put these videos out, the more that we as a group are sharing it and pushing it out to our networks, then it's going to just broaden out there. This is, again, a trial. This is something that we've discussed. I think it can work. I think there's going to be tweaking. We're going to go through some trial and error. It may not be the perfect solution. I think it's a great place to start. And again, it has to be collective. Like the whole group needs to want to do it. Otherwise, you know, it's just not fair if it's not going to work for everybody. But I believe that it's set up that it will work for everybody. And I think it'll be fun. And I think once we start seeing some recognition out there, people are going to get more excited. We're going to have more ideas. And I think it's going to be great. So this is where we were going to break out. Did I put? I'm going to go back to this slide. So I'm going to I can keep this up there for everybody to see. So right now, we should just talk about what this group has discussed on some issues and some of the top questions that have come up and what we think as a group we should be asking restaurant owners, and maybe, and what some of those answers we would like to talk about. Or does anyone have questions about all of this before? That might.
Debbie, it was a great presentation. It was really good. I
Thank you.
like that. Very informative. I think it's an ideal tool for restaurateurs. So, but yeah. But I'll jump in real quick.
Great.
I think I've talked to you before. I'm with a company called Road Financial Group. I provide commercial equipment financing. So, one of the things is in your group, I work with Lori a little bit back and forth. Yeah, I've known Lori for years, so we don't really conflict, but we help complement each other. So I don't know what she finds, but in my world, in the financial world, is it's either they come to you or they don't come to you, or they're embarrassed because they can't get approved or whatever. And I find in my situation is I'm sort of the last person to be discussed, because sometimes people don't want to discuss financing, either sort of a personal thing. Okay. So they kind of just, yeah. So I'm sort of maybe the 11th hour type thing, or I get involved in a project that's months before they roll it out. Okay. So what I have found lately in the financial world, I don't know what Lori's found out, is that I'm working on some projects and people come to me and say, oh yeah, I got 700 and plus credit. Fine out. You got 630, which is really below the minimum to get equipment loan. So I try to do the best I can and with my resources to get them done, because I'm trying to help their dream open up their restaurant. A lot of these guys do have experience, a lot of them don't. Okay. But, just on the financial world, it's a hit or miss, and, and there's a tool out there, it's out there to help people. But a lot of times, I'm sort of the last person sometimes to be brought up, which is fine. I get it, because, they have other avenues that they want to address, maybe their equipment and things like that. So they're going to pick that out, food, things like that. But yeah. And then another thing I was going to tell you, as far as being in the financing side, I work with a lot of vendors. There is a major equipment shortage. So I have a couple clients that are waiting on equipment. They're probably going to be 6, 7, 8 months out, especially on refrigeration and fryers and things like that. So it makes it very difficult either open up, or I have to work with them. Like I do offer like 90-day deferments, things like that, to help them so they're not starting their payment without equipment. But yeah, I mean, yeah. But like I said, what you presented, I think it's a great tool to help, especially if somebody's starting out, opening up, that needs some resources. Not everybody is going to need everybody's services, but I think there's a good start there.
So I love what you said, and you did put out a lot of really good points there. I personally think if it's about finances, I mean, why should you be at the back of the list? You should be at the front. So if we're starting with, let's say, a brand new restaurant owner, if they don't have their finances in order, they're probably not going to make it before they open the door.
No.
So if they're coming to you last, then they're already in trouble, and chances are you're going to have that uncomfortable conversation. So that's where the question is, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, restaurant owners, where are you with your finances? Are you on top of it? You're afraid you have a low credit score, or you have your stuff. So if it's an anonymous question, where are you with your finances? You can place it of, hey, this is where I'm at. Did you? And then you go into the, did you know? So this is a perfect conversation where there's a question of finances, and we can word it pretty fancy to get an honest answer of, I am afraid of being rejected.
Yeah.
Right. So that could be a multiple choice question.
Yeah, because you don't want to insult them. That's the
Right.
worst thing you want to do, because then you insult them, and then it's sort of like whatever. But it's just that um, and I try to help everybody, and I don't want to isolate anybody, but there's at the end of the day, you just can't get somebody done, and and then they feel hurt. Their feelings are hurt because I can't get them done. It came from a vendor, and they feel hurt, and it's like, and I feel bad because I maybe I shouldn't take on becoming not their friend, but not just selling them a loan. I try to become more of a consultant to them and help them. And like, for instance, when I'm out working with a client, I said, who's your POS guy? Who's your equipment guy? So I always try to recommend somebody. Like in this group, why don't you give this person a call? Like Rick, maybe they need insurance, or Chris, I work with Chris, maybe they need a management guy, so I try to be not just I'm going to sell them a loan. I try to figure out what their needs are. That way it's sort of, it's an all group thing, and we all work together and try to help them accomplish what they're trying to do.
So that again is part of the question of, on your finances, are you embarrassed to have the conversation? Is your finance team asking the right questions? Do you feel financially secure in opening this restaurant? Yes, no, please help me.
Mhm.
So it's all about how we word it. And then the question behind it can be, if the answer may still be no, but would you feel comfortable speaking with somebody that can help you understand where you financially stand and help advise you? You're not sitting there saying, I can help you and I'm going to get you the money you need.
Yeah.
You're not saying that. You're saying there's no guarantee.
Right.
But if you could speak to somebody, would you feel comfortable speaking to somebody within our group that can walk you through where you are, so you are aware where you stand financially and what your potential is? So that way we could say, hey, there's Brian, and hey, there's Lori, and you get to choose which one you feel makes you more comfortable, or you speak to both of you.
Yeah.
So this is one place of where we redirect the question, we put it out there. We already tell the consumer, we get it. We get that finances are a really hard conversation to have. Don't wait until the end. Don't wait till you put a deposit down on a place. You need equipment and then you don't have enough money. Don't wait to that point. So that this is part of where I want to get these things answered. Finances are huge, because if you don't have the right finances, then you can't really go and talk to anybody else in the group.
No.
So
Debbie, you still need the shared screen?
no, we don't have to.
Let's put everybody back so we can see who's
So,
talking.
Debbie, I want to share something real quick, a little not humor, but this is a prime example. I'll never forget this. I think it was like 2002. I was in the POS business, and this guy was opening up a Mexican restaurant. I don't know if Chris remembers, but he was up in Swanee, and he opened up, and I was selling him the POS system. Before he even had the first one open, he was working on his second and third. Okay. Let's say he got the first one open. It lasted about 4 months. The other two didn't get open. And I was working with him, and I was going to say something to him. I says, well, if you want to stay married, you shouldn't open the restaurant. Close the restaurant. 6 months later, he got divorced.
You really are a
It's like-
consultant.
But I told him,
I don't know if I want your advice.
but the point was, we were trying to tell him, you got to get this first one open. He couldn't even open the other two. He had a lease on the other two, and he went bankrupt and everything. I was just like, it's like, just get this first one open, pat, and get it done. And it was a Mexican restaurant, and I don't know whatever happened. He disappeared. But yeah,
But he wanted to franchise.
yeah, that's it.
Well, finances are one of the number one reasons why people break up, because, money affects
Yeah.
people's relationships. And that is same with opening a business. You're in a relationship with your business. And if you're not prepared, the stress levels get higher and you take it home with you and it causes tension. So yeah, I mean, we should add to the list of relationship experts right next to restaurant.
Yeah, you're that person. Get in there and tell them.
There you
It's
go.
just,
All right.
Debbie, wouldn't you think that Brian, brought up a great point about financing? If somebody's going to open a restaurant, they either need financing for the overall project or they want to lease their equipment, which a lot of people do. But there's a step before that, obviously. There's perhaps site selection and construction, and there are things that come before that or alongside of it. So maybe we should look at this as a process from start to finish.
Yeah. And that's just why it's great is to be in a group to ask questions of what comes first, the chicken or the egg, and what can we do as solutions?
I'm in favor of the egg, but no, kidding aside, the first step is really determining how much money you have. Besides, I mean, you can argue maybe concept what you want to do, but ultimately most businesses fails, restaurants are not, because they're underfunded. They were never properly capitalized to begin with. And then you have all the issues. Was it a good concept? Did they execute it well, and so on? But the biggest problem, and I think most of us will agree, is that most of us tend to be undercapitalized. And that causes us problems. It doesn't allow us to move forward easily. And so it's almost before we get to someone like Brian or talk to Chris to find people, we need to know that we have enough money. If you don't have enough money, that's a real problem.
Hey, I want to jump in real quick about the POS thing. When I was telling, the biggest problem here in Atlanta when I was doing this is they forget that they have to pay for a liquor license, and they're trying to open up like days before, and I'm like going. So they try to run down to the city hall, and they have no money. They get the liquor license, and it's just one of the things is typical licensing. Licensing is a challenge too, because they seem to forget I have to pay for that liquor license, and they get down there, and I guess in Atlanta, I guess it was about for all three sectors, beer, wine, and liquor, I think it's about 13,000. And like, I have no money. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So that's another area that they forget about.
No, that's be a good area for you to get into, leasing licenses. Financing the purchase of a license.
Yeah.
All kidding aside.
What you're saying, that's the best business to get into? Is that what you said?
No, it's another thing for him to get into because it's a not uncommon problem. I'm surprised to wait till the last minute. I always thought for liquor licenses, jurisdictions can be quite tough in actually getting them.
Yeah. So that could be a question. I mean, these are all great questions. So knowing do you know what your costs are? Do you know where you stand with your costs are? Do you have a proper restaurant checklist? And also, I think timing. Do you know the timing? Because are you held of licensing? And what was it? I'm missing something.
I just got a great idea, I think.
Okay.
I'm the lone wolf in this group because I don't do restaurant, but location. I have seen, I'm in a small town in North Alabama, Huntsville, 200,000 people maybe. And I have seen restaurants come and go based on location. You can't get in, you can't get out. Sometimes if it's not very successful, the parking lot is empty, people don't go. And those can ruin a business in a heartbeat. They just announced 2 days ago that we're getting Del Taco franchises in Huntsville. And that's big. That's a big deal up here. And the gentleman who's bought the franchises already has 3 very successful other restaurant platforms. And so I guess when he approached El Taco, he had to show success. And so, but it all goes to, I think, location, especially in a town like mine, where it's north, south, and there's no east and west. It's got to be location. Location's got to be a key.
Okay, well, that's great. And there's also, I mean, there's a question to be out there of what what kind of geo tracking you've done to find your, find your location and see how it works. And then there's an avenue where Terry could come in of like, what else is in the area and, the traffic and all of that. So I think there's lots of questions that can go along in that route to get people to understand that. I mean, I think there's such a vast number of avenues that I think this is good to sort of map out so that we can get into solid category questions of what we want to just make it very personalized for each business. So I think that this is good. I'm just going to state out there that I have about 7 minutes left, and then because I have another meeting at 10, but I think we should, Howard, I don't know what else you have for this meeting, or if you have something else.
No, you're good all the way.
Oh, okay. Because I think I think these are good to get out on the table, and then we can sort of scale it down. So maybe next week as well to continue to work on this, because there's a lot of fruit in here and a lot of directions we can go in. And I think when we speak with the other group as well, then we can share our synergies and sort of what we've already discussed and get into broader conversations. I don't want to drag this out for weeks and weeks. I just think another meeting of just sort of putting this all on the table and then putting them into questions, I think
Right.
is more than,
Right.
more than just a few minutes, if that works for you.
What do you think about this idea?
Okay.
Well, after we have the meeting at 11 and we collate some of the information, then we can have a meeting for members only, so to speak, and put it together. But what do you think about this idea? Once we get the questions established and we can fill in between the spaces, we create a restaurant checklist
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
we-
that's
great
I was
idea.
thinking
that we
yeah,
could
totally.
send, I can publicize to restaurants, because we have the information of restaurants that are under construction and coming. So we can send out this restaurant checklist to those people, establishing us as a source of information and as the experts in the field.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think like also we need to make it an exclusive, like if for people that are already in your group, an attractive list to
Right,
get
right.
people to the group. I think, like especially this conversation, we want to get this out there, but we don't to our internal group and not to outside, because we don't want, we don't want people to kind of see the chaos beyond the curtain.
I think I'm going to take this video and not post it, and
Yeah.
I'll send it out to our members in an attachment.
That would be, yeah, I think that's better, because we don't want people to see us in the making.
Right,
We
right.
want us to see us when we've made it.
Right, right.
But yeah, I think a restaurant checklist is perfect. And it also there's ways that you can just have people answer a quick survey before they do a download.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that you kind of are pre-qualifying people
Absolutely.
of
Right.
where they are.
Right.
So that could be also another way, but I really like the restaurant checklist idea. And I think maybe we should sort of focus that as our beginning of like, this is what we want it to start with. I mean, we'll ask what the other group thinks, but I think, it all started from somewhere, right? So if we start from the beginning and then go through the life cycles of a restaurant,
right.
I think that everybody will be touched. But we didn't hear a lot from you, Chris. I don't know exactly what you do. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Restaurant Recruiters of America.
Okay, so that is perfect, because we had discussed staffing, and now staffing is a huge issue. What part or what questions do you think should be out there on that? Or how to propose, or any other issues, or
Questions along the lines of,
like, so, I mean, for me, I think that staffing, it sounds like one of the end steps, but at the same time, if you're a smart restaurant, I know a lot of restaurant groups get people involved way before an opening, way before, like 2 weeks before, you know, when the restaurant's still in the building phase, and getting them involved and to understand everything that's being put into it, helping with putting the menu together, maybe specialty drinks together, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, what are you seeing in the industry from your perspective, and what are you seeing as potential issues that, again, something that you could solve that would help bring in people into the group?
I try to inform the restaurant owners and operators who utilize my recruiting services for management. We do not do hourly, just primarily management, salaried management, career management. I try to inform them of the market trends that are out there to get the best people. And the best people are being gravitated towards two things: benefits package and quality of life. And the quality of life issue, I've spoken with a general manager who just left his last company after 5 years. He said the only time in 5 years that I had a Saturday night off is when I took a vacation. And I'm going to a company that is committed to a 5-day work week, committed to quality of life. He said the money's the same. It's not like I'm leaving for money. And he said the money's the same.
Well, actually, he's getting paid more, because if it's a 5-day work week, I don't know what he was working before, but actually by cutting down one or more days, he's getting paid actually more.
Correct.
He just doesn't realize it.
Yeah, it's another thing I've pointed out. I said the difference between a 5-day work week and a 6-day work week is 52 days a year. And that's huge. This guy, he was working a 6-day work week, primarily 10 to 10, 6 days a week.
That's
And
one of the problems with the restaurant business. That's almost what you sign up for.
unless you're with a forward-thinking company.
No, I'm just talking generically. I'm not advocating that.
Yeah.
That he should do so, you should be in something else, but that has historically been the nature of the restaurant business.
That's true.
That's why, from most people's perspective, it's a miserable business because the hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there are companies that are getting creative because, for example, my brother was at a QT, which is a large gas situation, and there were 11 Amazon trucks at 7 o'clock in the morning at the QT. And he thought, what were these guys doing 2 years ago? And I told him, I said, they're probably assistant managers at Red Lobster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it just, there are companies out there that are successfully addressing quality of life.
I think that's an excellent part to address, because I think that's a huge piece of the industry and not being treated fairly because of hours, and their life is sort of, you're a slave to the restaurant because of hours and timing and holidays and all of that. I do also want to, I know Stevie, I know you have a lot, I know Terry has a lot, and Howard, I apologize, but I do have a 10 o'clock that I have to race to.
Right.
So I'm going to jump off, but I definitely want to, if that's okay, come back next week and we can kind of dig in deeper to this, and we'll have more fruit from our meeting later.
Next week's
Well,
Memorial
next
Day
week there's
weekend.
no meeting.
Then the week after, yeah.
Okay.
First week in June.
All right,
Good
sorry I have to run.
Thanks, Debbie.
presentation,
Thank you,
Thank you.
Debbie.
Oh,
you
great.
so
Thank you so much.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Everybody
too.
think of
Take
questions.
care. Nice having you.